Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's quite amazing how reading the verses of the Quran and reading the ahadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see them to be even more poignant, even more relevant with these changes of circumstances. For example, this hadith, Ibn Abbas radiyallahu anhuma, he narrates from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ni'matani maghbunun fihima kathirun min nas as-sihhatu wal faragh." There are two blessings of Allah in which many people are at a loss: good health and free time. Now, in this hadith, the word maghbun has been used from the word ghaban, and ghaban is when you sell something for far less than it's worth. You give it away cheaply, or you buy something for an extortionate sum of money. It's about trade, it's about an exchange. So you have something which is valuable, and you could have made a profit on it. You could have made a large profit on it. But rather than making a profit, you give it away for near to free. Or you purchase something which is very cheaply available and you paid an extortionate sum far greater than what you should have paid, and you made a loss in this way. So it's about the exchange. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is explaining that these two blessings of Allah are such that most people trade them and exchange them for far less than they were. One is good health and the other is free time. Now, I've spoken a little about free time over the last couple of days and how we might use every moment. It's a bit like spending a fixed sum of money and spending it wisely. We have 24 hours a day, we have 60 minutes in each hour and 60 seconds in each minute, and we have the 7 days of the week, and on and on. So each moment we can begin to assess and analyze already from the time that we have been indoors, for those of us who are not being able to go out for work, this extra time that we've achieved, how are we using it? I'm sure that there'll be many people who are using it wisely. I'm also sure that there'll be many people who won't be using it so wisely, and it'll have just passed and slipped through the fingers the way a block of ice melts on a hot day, and it's no use after it's melted. So we've spoken somewhat about time. What about health? First of all, let us understand that the context of the advices of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam are far broader, greater, deeper than the short term. So really, investing our time and health properly is to use them to achieve Allah's pleasure, to use our health and time to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's about appreciating these ni'mas. Before we lose that freedom of time, we become so occupied that we can't do the things we ought to do, we want to do, or not having the health to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ask the person who can't do sajda on the floor of the sweetness of that and how they miss it. So I want to talk now for a few moments about good health. And there are two aspects to this. We can talk about it in terms of health and fitness. Health in being free from the state of being free from disease, and fitness in terms of physical health. Now, in terms of health, being free from disease, if we already have this ni'mah, we ought to do lots of shukr. And if we don't, we ought to take all the means we can to move towards a situation of better health. And this means primarily, for many people, being careful how much we eat and what we eat. And also when we eat it, to go to bed on a full belly is not the ideal situation. So that if you're finding that there's more time at home, then this shouldn't be a time which we spend eating too much and eating the wrong kinds of foods. So I'm not going to go into detail about diet and dietary advice. There's 100 different approaches to good diet, but I'm just mentioning this in general. So what we eat and how we eat it, eating it on time, eating it in the right proportion and quantity, one. And obviously this means not eating the wrong kinds of fats and not eating too much sugar and not overeating and not eating at the wrong times, as I've already said, chewing our food properly and going for a walk inside the house. If we can't go outside, there is permission to go outside for a short walk, fresh air. Now, keeping your safe distance. The second point, fitness. Fitness we can look at this as a triangle. The three S's of fitness. There is the suppleness, the stamina, and the strength. These three aspects make up the triangle of fitness. Suppleness is flexibility, and you achieve this through stretching exercises. Stretching exercises, which are the huge area which many people miss out on. Learning the stretches from your neck muscles all the way down to your shoulder muscles, all the way down to your toes and ankles. Again, I'm just touching on the subject. I invite you to research this and find safe ways of stretching so that you can do an all-round body stretch, so that all of your muscles are being squeezed and stretched, so that you can maintain your suppleness and flexibility, which will protect you from pulling a muscle. Strength training, well, normally people go to the gym and you often use weights. In the absence of this facility, what can you do? You can use your own body weight, and we'll touch on this in a moment. And the third one is stamina, and this is aerobic exercise. It's about keep being able to continue. It's about strengthening the heart. Now, if you can't, as I say, there is permission still, if you keep safe distance, to go for a run once a day. Where this is difficult or not manageable, there's plenty that you can do inside the house. So, for example, if there's space, if you have a yard, a garden, you can use a skipping rope, or you can, even indoors, you can jog on the spot, and you can do your star jumps. If you have stairs inside your house, you can do steps, up, down, and you can use this as a form of high intensity interval training where you're going fast and slow. Again, an area which you can research. I'm just giving you the little clues here so you can look into this. So this is another area, the stamina. And then there's a bit of work happening on the roof, by the way, if you're hearing background noise, and there's a strong wind blowing today, so just bear with us. The third aspect is the strength training. Now, here is a basic all-round workout, taking care of your back, learning to do these exercises properly. There's the classic press-up, which you can do the push-up, which you can do in different positions. You don't need any equipment for this. You can spread your arms out wide, or you can keep them close together, and you can hold your hands in different positions so that you can flex different muscles. So the classical press-up, an excellent way of working out, number one. Number two, there's the sit-up. The sit-up, again, this is an area, it's important that you know how to do the sit-up. You shouldn't be using your back and forcing your back. This should be done with the abdominal muscles. And the third one is the squat. Again, looking after your back. You should not be straining your back when you do this exercise. The pressure should be not on the knees either, it should be on the thighs. So these three exercises are a good combination, and if you have the luxury of a pull-up bar in your house, then pull-ups and chin-ups are an amazing combination with the press-ups. So here you have it, the whole body workout using very little equipment. Steps for aerobic exercise, squats, sit-ups, and press-ups for the body weight strength training, and the stretches for your suppleness, and the healthy eating as much as you can manage this. May Allah Ta'ala grant us tawfiq to look after our health. And this is something that families can do together. They ought to, in fact, in these days and moments, keeping appropriate distances and keeping care of personal self-isolation and social distancing where this is required. People who are in quarantine because they're suffering from the symptoms, they should stay in their own rooms and do these exercises there. And those who are not suffering from the symptoms should also take appropriate precautions. I hope that this advice is useful in the context of the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ is teaching us to appreciate the ni'mas of free time and good health. May Allah grant us tawfiq. I hope you all are well and that you stay well. If you're ill, may Allah grant you shifa. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.